What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Palm City Chucks. And boy, is it a great day. Sun shining bright, birds chirping, birds flocking, birds winning. Got on some special digs for the occasion. Got the Barkley. Yes, it is white, even though we wore green, but I have Fletcher Cox green one from the 2018 Super Bowl. So I figured I'd spice it up with some white.
Fraud.
And full disclosure, while I'm on the topic, the 26 I've been wearing in like just about every episode, it's actually Jay Ajayi. Yeah, that was like a free raffle win, so I didn't spend money on that one. But yeah, had to rep it and make everyone think it was Barkley until I got a Barkley. But yeah, we're here, baby. Super Bowl went down. Eagles took it 40-22. It was a phenomenal game. AJ, was it a phenomenal game?
It was not a phenomenal game, bro. I hated every second of that game. Every single one. It's
Yeah,
not
it
fun.
was it was pretty crazy. I already watched it a second time. Like it for a lot of that game, especially watching it the second time stress free, it literally felt like a highlight reel like tape. Like the Eagles were like crazy dominant, dude. But yeah, it was fantastic. I can't stop thinking about it. I can't stop smiling. I mean, it's great. I'm loving life right now.
I'll agree with you that the Eagles were dominant. They
Yeah.
dominated the game start to finish. There no ifs, ands, or buts about that. That is why I hated the game as much as I did.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, it was excellent, man. I mean, I there's really no negatives to take away watching this game. I mean, Hurts had the one turnover. That's like about it, which that was just forcing a ball on a play you really don't want to. We were in field goal range, and yeah, he got hit when he threw it. And yeah, that was a no-no. But other than that, like really no negative plays. I will say I was so impressed with Kellen Moore. Called a beautiful game, and as we all know, I mean, now he's hired as the Saints head coach. And 2 years ago, when the Eagles were in the Super Bowl, Gannon, our defensive coordinator, was talking with the Cardinals, and it seemed like he was so distracted, called a terrible game, and just was already looking ahead. And I was worried about that with Kellen Moore, and it was not the case at all. He called a beautiful game. He wanted to win it. He wasn't worried about his future until this was done, and we got it done. And yeah, now he gets to move on and chase bigger, better things.
Yeah, good for him getting that Saints head coaching job. That's pretty cool. He did call an excellent game for sure. He definitely outdid Andy Reid. I actually thought Andy
Wow.
Reid called a not so great game. I like
Agreed.
credit Eagles defense where credit is due. Obviously, they played a very great game. The Chiefs' offensive line was completely overmatched all game long. But at the same time, I did not like the game that Andy Reid called. Don't think that he put his team in the best position to win. And the Eagles defense definitely had their number on what they were calling. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and we talked about it in our last episode. We each went through our pros and cons of each team, like what outweighs what. And I was confident. I said Eagles have a much better team, but what concerned me was Andy Reid. But I agree with you. He was definitely the worst of the coaches in this matchup, which I did not expect at all. But yeah, that certainly helped things. I will say specifically, he refused to run the ball.
oh
I
yeah.
mean, like 3 carries in the first half, and then the first drive of the second half, they run it like 3 times in 5 plays, and then again go away from it like the rest of the game. And you just can't win football like that. We've talked about that specifically with the Lions, getting the leads they would get, and teams just have to throw, have to throw. Lions defense knew that and played really well because of that. And that's what the Chiefs fell into here. They were just throwing the ball nonstop. So the Eagles D line, pin your ears back, and you drop as many guys in coverage as you can. Oftentimes it was 7, there's a stat going around that we didn't blitz at all, which that's not true. I know for a fact
Yeah, that's not
we
true.
blitzed like 2 or 3 times, and I feel like that was it. Like we barely did it. But yeah, when you become one dimensional like that, it helps the defense so much. And yeah, they definitely gifted the Eagles there.
Yeah, they ran the ball. I actually grabbed that number before this because I thought that was part of my why I did not like the game that he called 11 total runs the entire game, 3 of those being scrambles from Patty. So that's 8 designed run
And I said
plays.
7, yeah, pretty
Yep.
much. Yeah,
So that is, and as you said, 3 of them came right out of the start of the second half.
yeah, and
Where was the run game
snap.
the rest of the time, bro? And
Like
every time they ran it, I thought it was right through between the center and the guard. They never tried
yeah,
anything unique like you'd seen from them. But no, like worthy trick plays or anything like that. Nothing. It
yeah,
was
100%.
right between the
Didn't make it.
tackles.
They didn't make it easy for Patrick in a game where he was really struggling. They didn't make it easy for him to get the ball to his weapons, which was very silly.
Yeah,
And
and
to your point too about the running, if you look at how the Eagles defense lined up, did you notice how far wide our ends were? Like we literally made it impossible for like that's why it was constant pressure like almost every play. We were lined up so far out wide that the tackles like what can they do really? They're not as fast as these ends. I mean, we have guys like Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat that are very fast speed rushers. So when you allow them to line up like that, they're going to get after the quarterback. Now, the counter for that is running the ball. There are huge gaps there. You can get your guard or tackle, whoever's not has a guy right on their face, up to the next level very easily when ends are out that far. And yeah, they just didn't adjust. Then halftime rolls around. Eagles, I think 24-0 at this point. Very comfortable lead. But I'm still nervous as an Eagles fan. I mean, no lead is safe. You feel that in the Super Bowl, especially. And I'm worried about all these halftime adjustments they're going to make. And it seemed like, again, Andy was out coached and no adjustments were made. It seemed like it was the same thing. They started the drive, ran it pretty successfully, got a first down. Pacheco had like a 10-yard run. And then they just went back to what they did in the first half, and that did not work.
yeah, I wonder if it kind of seemed to me like maybe they lost a little faith in Pacheco since he came back from his injury, or maybe they fell
Yeah.
in love a little bit too much with Kareem Hunt. They obviously didn't run the ball with anybody in this game, but I felt like Pacheco was a very big part of their offense prior to the injury, and when he came back, he
100%.
never really got involved again. And most of his touches, if
He's
not
a
all of
scary
them,
player.
basically came on that one drive. Everything else was Kareem Hunt. They even got Carson Steele in there a little bit. So
Yeah, I don't think Pacheco touched the field until that opening drive of the second half. Like, I literally don't think they used him at all. And, that's foolish. Even if you are going to throw the ball every down, you need to at least have the illusion, or again, you can do what the Eagles did and line up so wide and, you know, effectively stop them.
yep, yep. And receivers just couldn't get open at all for the Chiefs. I mean, Worthy had a good game, but that's about it. Like that's about it.
Yeah.
The first one
A
came
lot
when
of
they
it was
still
in
had a bit of a
garbage.
chance. That I think he had like 80 some yards and a touchdown at that point. That's when they were still really had a chance on a good one, but a chance, and then like 70 and the other touchdown came after that. But still, 157 and 2 touchdowns, good game. But D Hop drops. Kelsey just couldn't get open. He's been a complete
That,
non-factor for a lot of this year. Started
mm,
slow, turned it on a little bit, and then turned it right back off again at the end of the year.
yeah, I
So I'm
think
kind of curious to see what Kelsey does because to me, kind of did he lose a step this year? I don't know. That's maybe a conversation for a later episode, but just something I'm noticing.
yeah,
Like, yeah, and he was a non-factor when Patty needed him. I mean, don't get me wrong, Patty also made some bad throws, in his direction specifically, but still, I feel like old Travis Kelsey of old was going to grab those.
yeah,
Anyways, really just a disaster from the Chiefs
yeah,
offense because honestly, the Chiefs defense, while the Eagles put up 40 points, but with the positions that they were put in, they actually did an all right job. Like they did an okay job. Their
yeah.
offense just screwed them. Screwed
Yeah, it's
them.
it stayed a game for a while, and a game's kind of a loose term because I mean the Eagles did get out to a lead early, and it was a pretty substantial lead. But I mean we've seen Chiefs and great teams and great quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes overcome these things, and their defense totally held the door open a little bit for them. And yeah, they did nothing with it. The Eagles defense just, they played their asses off. So kind of allowed the Eagles to, not play in a stressful environment on offense and just kind of, just do your job. You don't have to do anything spectacular. Just, work your way up and down the field, run that clock. And yeah, it really made it easy on the Eagles offense the way the Eagles defense played.
Yeah.
And I didn't even write this down, the time of possession, but I'm sure it was extreme. And usually, oftentimes, that is a very important stat. But that's another thing too. Like, I mean, Eagles defense was rested in this game. They went out and it was like 3-and-out after 3-and-out, or they got one first down and out. I mean, in the first half, the Chiefs had 26 yards, I think it was, which half of that came on the first play of the game for them, the play to Smith-Schuster down the middle.
Yep.
And yeah, after that, it was nothing. They couldn't get anything.
Yeah. It was just really, really bad game from them. But I mean, we talked about the Chiefs a lot there. I'll throw it back to you to talk about what the Eagles did well.
Yeah, I mean, what didn't they do well? It was really a perfect storm. And I want to talk a little bit about just the playoff run of the Eagles as well. Um, Plus 12 in turnover differential through the playoffs, which is just insane. And just to put it kind of in perspective, the next best was plus 4, and that was Buffalo. They broke a record 145 points in a postseason, which is the most ever. We saw some other cool things, like Barkley managed to get over the 30 yards for most rushing yards ever in a season, including postseason, which
Took
was
him quite
really
a
cool.
few.
Yeah. Yeah, you got it by quite a few. But I mean, clearly, I'm kind of bringing it back to the Chiefs here by saying this, but the Chiefs wanted to stop Barkley, and that they did more or less. I mean, he was effective in the passing game too. Another credit to Kellen Moore, because that was something in the offseason that was talked about a lot. And as an Eagles fan who's been craving throwing to the running back for years, because even before Barkley, when we had DeAndre Swift, Lions used him in the pass game and he was amazing. And we never did it. And I was worried about that with Barkley, and same kind of thing happened. He never got the ball receiving. And in this game, he did. He had like 5 or 6 catches, like 60 yards or something. Like, it was very nice. And that's just another credit to Kellen Moore getting your stars the ball. And he never went away from the run. Barkley had 25 carries, even though he was getting like 2 yards a clip. So, yeah, I love the game he called. And yeah, it turned out Barkley broke the record pretty easily. But for a while there, I was actually worried he wasn't going to get it, because the Chiefs clearly were all about stopping Barkley and
Yeah.
nothing else, which was awesome, because there's been a lot of questions about Jalen Hurts, and they said you have to beat us, not Barkley, and Hurts beat him, and he beat him bad, and that's his second time in the Super Bowl putting up amazing numbers against this Chiefs defense. He had some history with his numbers. He's the only quarterback in NFL history to throw for over 200, rush for over 70, throw multiple touchdowns, rush for a touchdown, and complete 75% of his passes, and average 10 yards per pass attempt, which that's just beautiful. You don't see that. Like, I totally believe he's the only quarterback to do that, because that's a perfect game if you do all of those things.
I mean, he played a very good game. He absolutely was the better of the quarterbacks on the field. Um, yeah, I mean, not much to be said there. Other than like
Yeah.
he did play a very good game. Uh, that's what I got for that. He played a good
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, he did. It was awesome. And the other thing that I found cool, and did not know this, but he's the only quarterback to win a Super Bowl rematch. So anytime a quarterback matchup happened in the Super Bowl and one guy won it, if it ever happened again, which it did like 5 or 6 times in history, that same quarterback won it a second time. But yeah, that was not the case in this one. And the other one was so damn close that very easily could have been Hurts up 2-0 against Mahomes in the Super Bowl, leaving that, statistic intact. But that was cool that he's the first to do that as well.
No, yeah, it's cool. He played a very good game. I think his defense put him in a lot of advantageous positions. Doesn't mean that he did well with what he needed to do when he needed to do it, but I'd say the defense certainly played a big part in
Oh yeah.
how he was able to perform there personally.
Yeah,
But hey,
definitely.
lo-
Without a doubt. I mean, and this defense is great. It was the best defense of the year, or best defensive team all season, and a lot of statistics. But guys played at their best in this game. Like Josh Sweat is a very good player. He was a great player in that Super Bowl win, and there were other guys like that too. Like we saw Maddox make a play on a fourth down, and it's like where he doesn't even see the field much since DeJean started playing, and he made a play, recovered an onside kick. Like it was like everybody was just chipping in, and yeah, it was just really cool, really awesome team win. It was definitely a team win. Um, yeah, everybody put their part in, and I mean that's how you win these games. It's a team
no,
sport.
yeah,
I mean, Sirianni said it. It's the ultimate team sport, and he's so right with that. Everybody's gotta chip in to do great things like this.
yeah. I don't know if it's the ultimate team sport. I don't know about that, but
Really,
yeah,
I mean,
I
you
don't
have
know.
one weak link in football, like that could literally cost you a game, a season. I mean,
I don't know.
it
I think
really does work out that way.
soccer might be the ultimate team sport. Less players on the field, rely on them for both offense and defense. One weak link in one, you're in trouble. I mean, that's a bit of a mute point, but just saying. I think that's a very American focused view, since soccer's not
Yeah,
very huge
yeah. I
here.
don't I don't know how much soccer Sirianni's watching, but
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, most people, and myself included, it's the main four, and we don't really think outside the box. But yeah, I mean, you're right. All sports are great, and yeah, there are other sports out there where it's very important to have a good team around you.
Oh yeah, just want to throw that call out. I got the Liverpool scarf up there,
Yes,
guys.
that's right.
So I do be watching the Prem, and soccer be great, and America needs to get into it more. Random call out there, but back to Jalen a little bit. I'm gonna ask you a very simple question. You and I have talked about him throughout the season. I
Mhm.
have said that I think he is a good player who does what he needs to do. I would not call him elite. You have mostly agreed with that general, at least that last part. We'll just go with that.
Yeah,
Not
yeah. I
like
mean,
elite.
yeah.
Do you
I've
think
I've
this
agreed with
game
that.
makes him elite?
I think he is an ultimate competitor, and in the brightest stage, he shines. I do believe that, and um, some of his teammates, I think it was AJ Brown, even said Hertz isn't happy at all in the regular season, like because to him, I guess the games don't mean enough. Which I mean, obviously they do. You got to win them. Um, but when playoffs roll around, like he can actually see like Jalen is happy. Like the man is not even happy playing football in the National Football League until playoffs start, which
Mm-hmm.
I thought was funny, but also just, a testament to how competitive he is. And yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing when you have a guy, especially a quarterback, who plays this well when the lights are shining the brightest. And to your question, is he elite? I mean, kind of like you said, we've agreed on this all year that he doesn't have to be. And the Eagles team around him is so good that he just has to kind of go through the motions, protect the ball, and we will win games. Um, was he elite in that Super Bowl? Definitely, without a doubt. So I think he can be elite when he needs to be. But I think he also understands he doesn't have to be, and it can sometimes backfire if he tries to be. And to throw a shout out like a Dak Prescott type who tries to play hero ball and costs his team games when they should win the game.
I'm gonna
Hurts is trying to
pause.
avoid all of that, and he just cares about the wins. The win column is all he cares about. He doesn't have much of an ego when it comes to his own statistics.
Okay, I'm gonna put my I'll put a pause on that. I'll say thank you for being a reasonable human being, and I agree with almost all of that, actually. I needed to
Cool.
hear that out of a Philadelphia fan's mouth after the past few days.
Hey,
But
yeah, I'm sure.
you brought Dak up. Did you see what he said today?
Yeah, yeah. Well, he was just more or less saying the Cowboys are right there, right? Like they're not far away from what the Eagles have been able to do the last few years,
Yeah, and he
and
says
things
like
like that.
we've been really close in all of our games against the Eagles and all that good stuff.
Oh,
So
I think he might even have a winning record when
yeah,
playing us. Yeah. So, yeah, I did see that. It's quite ridiculous when you've only won one playoff game in a season. Like you haven't even taken like you're many steps behind. Like Jaden Daniels, another division rival, has gotten further than you ever have. So, and that's what I actually said. Me and my brother were talking about it. And that's what I said to him. Why are you worrying about the Eagles? You got to worry about the Commanders first.
yeah. Got to worry about both. I mean, I feel like at that point you got to worry about both equally. There really is no first there. Play each other twice, luck of the draw, and where you end up seeding wise. But they
Yeah.
definitely do also need to worry about them. I am curious
Yes.
if they repeat their success, but they're heading in the right direction. But hey, team coming out of the blue like that, you never know.
Yeah.
Sophomore slump.
That's a good point. And yeah, again, something maybe for an episode in the
Yeah,
future.
yeah.
Um,
Back.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll
I'm not even
track
going to
back
say it.
to Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I'll track back to Jalen Hurts. I like I said, I agree a lot with what you said there.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
does
it was
he
wise,
have?
man. We're
Yeah,
clipping that.
it was good. It was good. Does he have the potential to be elite? Probably. Do I believe that that will ever fully realize? No. As I said before on the pod, he did have what I would consider one elite year, a full year
Right.
of being elite.
Yes. I was
I
going to
would
say
agree
that
with that.
too. He can
Like,
do it when he has
yeah,
to. I think
but
it's him maturing to the point where I don't need to do this and, put guys in danger or the ball in danger. I don't need to do it. If I play clean football, we will win. And that is so true. And because that's what the Eagles did all year long. You protect the ball, you win the turnover battle, you win games when your team is this talented. It's
yeah.
when teams are this talented and they get in their own way, whether it be turnovers or penalties, that they lose.
Well, I'd also add I'm not sure that he could fully repeat that because he had years after where I felt like he did try to reproduce that and it didn't quite get there. But this year, as you said, I feel like he fully realized and accepted the role that he's
Yeah.
supposed to
He
have on
matured a
that
lot.
team, which was good. When I am going to call a guy elite, when I put that tag on a player, that is somebody that I believe has like a chance at the Hall, right? That is my target when I'm
Okay.
saying somebody is elite. Like they
That's
could
fair. That's a
possibly
good,
make the Hall.
yeah.
And there's not a Hall of very good for a reason. Like, could Jalen be there if that existed? Sure. But I reserve the elite tag for, like I said, people that I think are gonna go to
I
the
will
Hall.
say there are a crap ton of players in the Hall that were not elite.
That's fair. I'm just saying for the concept of what it is, they don't even have to end up making it. Just somebody I believe could, maybe at least receive consideration for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Is
Longevity seems to matter, not to take the conversation that way entirely, but longevity plays a major role in it. Like we have guys like Eli Manning that are in the Hall or going to be in the Hall. Like
mhm,
he is not a Hall of Famer. Like he's just not.
yeah.
He played so long and his team, much like the Eagles, were so good and so hot at the right time that he beat Tom Brady twice. And that is why he is in the Hall. It is not him being elite, that's for sure.
Yeah. But I just want to list some stats off here. I wrote down quite a few of Jalen's stats just to kind of drive home my point. All right. because I need to vindicate myself. I was getting into, like I
Okay.
said, some arguments with some Eagles fans. They didn't really like what I had to say, and I caught some Detroit flack. So we got to get this out there in existence when we post this, okay?
Okay.
Jalen's playoff games 2021, one game, 23 of 43, one touchdown, two interceptions. 2022, three games, 58 of 87, 579, three touchdowns, no interceptions, so no turnovers, but we're averaging under 200 yards passing. One game, 25 of 35, 250, one touchdown. Point, though, about that last time where he was averaging under 200, that was a situation, again, where you didn't necessarily need to be insane because your defense was so good and you had a good team
Right.
around him. Got him there. 2024, four games, 726 yards. Again, averaging under 200, and then you had 221 come from that last game, too, so he basically had 500 through three. 65-91, five touchdowns, one interception. Like, as you mentioned, good turnover ratio,
Mm-hmm.
kept care, good care of the ball, all that good stuff. But I just can't put the elite tag on a quarterback that averages less than 200 yards a game passing. Can he be very, very good in what your team, the Philadelphia Eagles right now, needs and be very good at that? That can be true at the same time that he's not what I would consider an elite quarterback in the league. Both
Yeah.
things can be true, is my
Right.
opinion
And
there.
yeah, I don't want the elite tag on him. He doesn't want,
Yeah,
that's kind of the point I'm trying to make. Like, he doesn't want the elite tag. Like, that is not his
yeah.
agenda. His agenda is winning Super Bowls. And I have down some stats of his two Super Bowl games: 525 passing yards in those two games,
Mhm.
142 rushing, 73.3% completion percentage, and 7 touchdowns to 2 turnovers.
No,
That is
he's showed
elite.
up. He's showed
He's
up in the
elite
Super
when it
Bowls.
matters, when he has to be elite. Other than that, it's not a priority for him. I'm a little ashamed of the Eagle fans you've been talking to because they're not understanding it. And
Yeah,
clearly they had their feelings hurt with those stats you read out, because yes, those stats are not elite, but they didn't need to be. And
yes. Yes, we
yeah,
totally agree there.
yeah. I'm
100%.
glad. We understand it.
Yeah. Like, you can be very good, especially like when the team is built for you to be very good and do a job. Like,
Yeah.
can't question
And
that.
now
Yeah.
he's proven it now. Like, it
Yeah.
happened. We won the Super Bowl. You don't have to be elite to get it done. And I mean, I guess you could argue you do because he had to in the final game. Um, but yeah, I think he already proved that point 2 years ago when we lost. He outplayed Mahomes in that game too. That game was arguably more impressive than the game that we just had where we won. Like, the guy is a dog when it matters, and I just love that his priorities are that straight in his head, that he doesn't need to like, he went for it. Like you said, he had 1 year where if he didn't get hurt, that was going to be his MVP. And instead his season was cut short, didn't get it. And yeah, ever since then, like you said, there was another year where he tried to kind of replicate that. And I think that was the turning point where he matured to the point where he realized, I don't need to do all this extra shit, man. I have to protect the ball and get the ball to my key players, and we will win games. And that formula is beautiful.
To
And
his
we're there.
credit, I think it was a very quick learning curve because I think it was 2022 would have been his MVP season. Wrote those 3,700 passing yards, 22 touchdowns, six interceptions. That's where you guys ended up going to the Super Bowl. Believe that
Uh,
it was that year, maybe, possibly.
yeah.
Because then the next year he went 3,800 yards. I think this was that the first one they added the extra game though. Maybe can't remember how many seasons they've been at this point. So 150 more yards, but only one more touchdown and 15 interceptions. That was
Yeah.
just last year, and then he definitely course corrected this year. Only
Yes.
five interceptions, only 18 touchdowns, but only five interceptions. Which, as you said,
Yeah.
that's main part of his job. Do not
Yeah.
turn the ball over. So,
Right.
and he did
And
very well at
the
that.
last step I want to see him take is, and again, I've been saying, like, he doesn't try to do too much. One area where he does is he holds the ball too long. And I think a lot of that is just the Eagles having the studly offensive line that we do. It makes him feel like immortal. And yeah, that's great. You have a great offensive line. These guys are going to sack you if you hold the ball for 5 seconds. And that is the next step for him. I think he needs to decide in his brain quicker that, hey, this play's dead, live to survive the next one. Like, you can't be taking the sacks that he takes. That is the next thing he needs to improve on. But yeah, other than that, I'm so happy with him. I mean, he can do it all when he has to, and it's just really the maturity that I love. He's not trying to shoot for the stars and cost the Eagles games. Like, he knows how to get here, and if he needs to be the guy to win it, he will be. But yeah,
Yeah.
and even so, like, we didn't even, like I said, Barkley had 25 touches. Like, the ball never stopped going to Barkley. And it was like we were trying to be like almost reassure that fact that it doesn't have to be you, Hurts, but the Chiefs made sure it was him, and he
Yeah,
got
they
it done.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, last thing I'll say on that before I want to move on to a couple specific shout outs to some defensive guys on the Eagles is like, Jalen, you will never ever hear this, but I want you to know this really isn't Jalen hate. This is more so just my disgruntled feelings with your Philadelphia fans. You did a fantastic job with what you did exactly what you needed to do and you won a Super Bowl. So congrats, and any Philly fans that listen, really not Jalen hate, just be reasonable. Um, to the defensive shoutouts, Cooper DeJean, what a guy.
yeah.
What a guy.
Birthday pick six,
Yeah,
first
I mean,
career interception is a pick six in the freaking Super Bowl.
turning
And another DeJean
22.
fact, yeah, I know, it's insane. We're old,
Yeah,
but
I know.
the other thing that came with that pick six was he officially for this season has scored more touchdowns than he's given up. 1-0. So yeah, just an amazing season. Um, Howie just amazes me. The talent he's been able to supply the Eagles the last few years, it's just remarkable. And um, that's another cool stat too. We are the youngest defense in the whole league. And last year, the Chiefs were the youngest defense in the whole league. So I'm starting to wonder if that's kind of like the way teams need to start going. Like, stop paying these old guys or whatever. Like, you can have, obviously, you need some vets. You need guys to teach these young guys. But, you can get good talent on cheap rookie deals and, you know, give your money to the offense, man. And yeah, it seems to be paying off. I know that is just a 2-year sample size, and I didn't research further into it. But yeah, I think that's interesting, and I wonder if teams try and replicate that.
Oh yeah, and you just also got to do a good job drafting, which Howie
Yeah,
definitely does. So, I
yeah,
mean, that's the shame of it, my guy, is that the Philadelphia Eagles organization is run great. They support a lot of awesome causes. One of the leading supporters for like autism support, especially in children, and do
yeah,
plenty of good things for their community. Mostly likable. There's just that one piece that just ruins everything.
yeah,
But it's a
yeah. And
shame because it's a
yeah,
great
we
org.
talked
It
about it
really
last
is.
episode,
Yeah.
and that's what I asked you. I'm like, why do you want the Chiefs to win? Like, you look at the Eagles team, everything, front office all the way down. Why do you hate these guys? And you were so quick to say, like, I do not hate those guys. I like a handful of them. It's the fans. And yeah, that's fair. I mean, after our little conversation about your talk with Eagle fans, like I said, I'm a little disappointed they're not grasping what's really happening. And I like to think it's a intelligent fan base, just, a little rowdy and over emotional at times, but yeah, that hurts me because that was not intelligent.
No, as we said right before we got on the pod, every fan base is emotional, very
Yep.
emotional, because they love their team and they want nothing more than them to win. But
Yep.
I think the Philadelphia fans don't deal with that emotion very well. They don't know how to handle it.
Yeah. It's
But
a good thing we're in such good hands with our front office.
you are like I said, the main point there wasn't really to get into the negative, but it was to give credit to the people running your organization. Honestly, they
Yeah.
do a fantastic job. And
And I have to bring this up too, because I have to gloat a little bit. Our first episode, I predicted this outcome of the season. How about it, people? How
You did.
about it?
You did indeed. You did
Yeah, so
indeed.
that's pretty cool. And along the way, I got my ass kicked in regular season game picks.
Yeah. Too
But
bad it's not like the
yeah,
real NFL where regular season doesn't matter.
yeah, right. Um, but I will say, I want to thank you because I'm, very in my head about these playoff games, and you picked against the Birds every step of the way, and I'm
I had
just
to
so
stay
glad you
consistent.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's at some point
Dude, it's crazy. Like,
just
I'm so
can't switch it up.
superstitious. Yeah. I was so relieved. And I figured you were picking the Chiefs, but after it was just finalized that you went against us the whole way, I'm like, so we have a chance.
I'll
And
be
then
honest.
after we win, trim off the playoff beard a little bit. I see you did too. Playoffs are done.
Yeah,
Trim it
yeah.
up.
Clean it up.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I honestly thought about picking the Eagles just to try to be a jinx, but that felt rude. That felt rude. So I was like,
Yeah. Well,
I'll make,
I know you'd be kicking yourself if the Chiefs then won and you picked the
yeah,
Birds. Yeah.
that's basically how you were describing, picking against the Birds, trying to catch up to me, like just can't be done because if they end up actually winning, you would hate yourself. So
Yeah. And it happened week 1 against the Packers. I picked
yeah,
against them. And I don't think I picked against them the rest of the year, which,
worked out pretty
I
well.
mean,
Only,
yeah, it did. But at first it was a little shaky, which, again, future episode stuff, but clearly took the Eagles a few weeks to get it going under the new coordinators and a lot of new talent in there. And yeah, I'm not looking forward to going through that again with a new OC coming in. But yeah, like I said, we'll get into that in the future.
yeah, Lions got to switch out both coordinators. So
Yeah,
both our
yeah,
teams
yeah,
dealing with some fun there. We'll see how it goes.
yeah.
I am ready to get to the 2025 football season. I'll tell you that this one needs
What?
wiped
You don't
out
want to
of my
soak this in a
brain.
little bit?
No, it needs
Oh,
to be gone, dude. Like,
oh, I'm ready
I'll
to
tell
let
you,
it
I was at a
soak.
Super Bowl watch party, man, and there were a couple Eagles fans there, and I ended up leaving and watching the rest of the game. I left at like the beginning of the fourth quarter. I just could not sit there with them anymore. I watched it on my phone on the ride home and then finished it when I got back here. But I was like, dude,
Yeah.
I need to go. I can't be here.
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't blame you. I'm sure the drinks were flowing. The Eagles fans were probably getting a little wild.
yeah.
But yeah, it,
I mean,
it was
on the
just
night,
amazing.
can't
But it
can't
did
blame them
take,
on the night. Like
yeah,
you're
no, no, no,
excited, and
can't.
that's very
Yeah.
fair.
But it's funny you bring up that time frame in the game because that's where I finally, and again, this game was like handled, man. Like we were
I
clearly
texted you, I think
dominant. And yeah,
halftime,
I had my phone in
maybe
another room,
slightly
dude.
after the third quarter started. Yeah,
Yeah, I literally
I
had my
knew.
phone in
I
another
knew.
room. I was like, I'm sponging everything. I want every Super Bowl commercial memorized along with the gameplay. But yeah, that was when I finally like kind of let it hit that we were going to win was when the fourth quarter started, which if this was being played in October, like by halftime, I would already be doing a jig in the living room. But yeah, it's just the Super Bowl stress, man. It's crazy. And Brady made it all possible too with that Atlanta game where you just never feel safe. But yeah,
Yeah,
the Eagles were not that Atlanta team, and that was pretty clear. But and since I bring up Brady, I did want to shout this out because I had no clue. But Mahomes has more turnovers in his 5 Super Bowl games than Brady had in his 10, which I find interesting because
it is
Brady
interesting.
he's the guy to threaten Brady for the GOAT, like in the current day NFL. So yeah, that one hurts though, big time.
Yeah,
You
that one
can't
hurts that
recover from
argument.
that. Like it only gets worse as time goes on. So
Yeah, that one's not good for that. And it's like I've said before, where I think the talent wise, I will put him above Brady right now, but it needs the accolades to back it
oh
up. And
god,
so far,
yeah.
in some of these big
Well,
games, he has not shown up.
that's why Brady was so special because, like you say, talent. outweighs Brady, and you couldn't be more right. But there's like 30 quarterbacks, 40 quarterbacks all time that had better talent than Brady. And
It's the
there's
aura.
probably 10 right now in the league. Like it's just the mind and yeah, just getting it done, man, when it matters.
No, you're completely right. It's like I said, it's the aura, and he's got what it takes when the big games come up. And Patty
Right.
so far has done that sometimes, and
Yeah, it's
twice
kind of hit or
not done
miss.
that. And
Yeah.
this one in particular really hurts because he was very bad, very very bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like the only his only saving grace is that his offensive line was a sheet of paper, and your defensive line was scissors. It was rock, paper, scissors, paper against
Yeah, right.
scissors, and the paper stood no chance. It wasn't
Yeah.
laminated, didn't have like a couple sheets in there. It was a single
Yep.
sheet against the
And what do
sharpest
you do?
scissors. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. What do you do when these things happen? You have to get crafty in your play calling and
yep.
spice it up. And that never happened. So, yeah, he didn't really get a winning formula to, combat the paper offensive line. But yeah, it was great. I am not ready for the next season. I wanna let this soak in a little bit. I am excited. We got the combine coming up. Um, we'll definitely be making some episodes around that, and then the draft, same deal.
Yep.
So stay with us, people. We're gonna have some NFL content throughout the off season for you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Don't you all worry. We are not going away. But that wraps up this one. But I do want to say something. This one feels like a special one for us. Our last one for the
Does
2024-2025 NFL season. Pretty religiously posted weekly for you all. Couple hiccups in there with the holidays and a couple tech issues, but this one feels special. So appreciate you all that listened in, even if it's just for a second. For those of you that watch most of them, we really appreciate you, and we
yes,
look forward to the off-season content and next year. And we're open to pick up basketball a little bit more as some extra time frees up and we get a little more in the rhythm. And hopefully you'll join us for that as well.
yeah.
But thanks everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Later, PCC.